Link engaged.
Visit us at TeamSpeak.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to TL Open number 16. We are here in semifinals, the upper semifinals, set number 2 here. We've yet again spawned cross positions on Tal'Darim Altar. We have FXOmOoNan as the blue Terran in the bottom left, trying to bring it back down 0-1 to his opponent, the Korean Protoss, HwangSin, spawning as the teal Protoss.
Absolutely, and you know, Tal'Darim is quite similar in openings to Metalopolis. I'm expecting the same thing from Moonan again, just going for gasless expand, just because your opponent is so far away, no matter where he spawns, and especially on crossbows, of course. And on the other hand, a 6-gate timing attack is almost as strong on Tal'Darim as on Metalopolis, because you have quite a wide choke, you can come from both sides, and it's no problem putting up any proxy pylons on the map.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing you mentioned, because I've seen Terran players try to control their expansion by just controlling this one ramp, kind of walling off, not fully walling it off, but walling off their natural ramp. And the thing that's dangerous about that is Protoss just runs around. They can flank those bunkers very easily. Yet again, abuse the sentries from the 6 warp gate attack, completely isolating the bunkers, and it's extremely dangerous. So we have Moonan here going up with his barracks. He's now at 13 workers, so let's see if he takes that refinery as he crosses the 75 mineral threshold. And yes, he does decide to take his refinery, so not going to be a gasless expansion. And HwangSin going step for step, also taking his assimilator. So we have kind of more, I don't want to say standard, but more common openings here.
Absolutely, and there are a lot of great gas openings as well. Even so, I mentioned I prefer the CC first, but there are many options you have here as a Terran. You can even go for early Reapers, as you can jump into the Protoss base from basically 3 sides, coming from the natural, coming from the 4th base, or even from the 3rd base, so you always get excellent scouting by Reapers. And what I've been researching lately a lot is actually going for an early factory, only mining 100 gas and getting early Marines and Hellions to have a lot of map control and scouting, and still a really fast expansion. So I'd be excited to see Hellion play by him.
TLO in the lab researching new builds here. We see Moonan dropping that tech lab after 1 Marine. The Marine, of course, just positioned outside the ramp to deny any sort of early scouting. Don't want to let the probe in there unnecessarily, so he knows what you're right up to. And I'm going to be interested to see if a Reaper comes out of this. Yes, it is a Reaper, so that's going to be able to give Moonan a follow-up, complete scouting information. He'll be able to jump in there up the side here at the 3 o'clock, jump in the main base and see exactly what HwangSin's up to. Meanwhile, we can see he is not really, I'm surprised he's not dropping the chrono boost on the stalker. There it goes. Now dropping that to chase away the scout, and dropping the Nexus with his first 400 minerals. So, as you said, far rush distance, very easy to take expansions, and we can see both players taking advantage of that here in game number 2.
Yeah, I really like how he plays the Nexus before the Stalker even. Probably knowing from the timing of the SCV that your opponent is cross-spot, and not opting for a unit before the Nexus even.
Look at this probe in the middle of the map, just scooting around looking for any sort of problems, any sort of proxies, any sort of attacks coming in. Gonna run into that Reaper, and now he should be well aware of what kind of style Moonan is playing. Moonan following up by dropping that 2nd barracks and continuing normal production. Reaper gonna move over to the watchtower, and let's see what he does with that, if he's just gonna control the Zelnega watchtower or move into the main base, moving over eastward. And he's got it queued up to jump in. But look at this, Stalker already there. Oh, he's actually pulling the Stalker away, unfortunately. So the Reaper may be able to get in and get just a little bit of scouting info.
Yeah, he's gonna be taken out quite quickly anyways. I wouldn't be surprised for Moonan to just go back. No, he's a little bit undecided, but manages to not get, get out of the base. Really, really close, but didn't get any scouting information, really, I think. Oh, actually, he saw all 3 gates, so that's fine.
Okay, so he should be aware that the expansion is complete. Going ahead and taking a look at Moonan's vision. Yes, he is aware of that from, his initial scouting SCV. And completely standard builds thus far. Let's see how they follow up. I've got to imagine on a map like Tal'Darim Altar, especially with just the vulnerability of the natural, we're going to see Protoss follow this up with Colossi play. But what's your read on it, TLO?
Well, I couldn't agree more, but there are plenty of opportunities you do have on Tal'Darim, and especially as it's such a big map, what you can do as Protoss is play really defensive and get extremely quick high upgrades, so you're just gonna go for double forge and not even get a robotics for a really long time, but kind of rely on warp gate units, sentries and force fields just to defend your ramp and get an early third base as well.
Yeah, we see that forge actually being dropped by HwangSin. He's probably going to go for that armor yet again. He's got a little bit of chrono boost saved up. There goes the armor. Moonan, meanwhile, has torn down his third rocks, so he's got access to his second natural if he so chooses to take it, and being a little bit active with this Reaper. And this is why you don't sacrifice the Reaper early on. You want to keep it alive so that it can be, you know, your perfect scout. He's actually got it queued up so he can run into the main base, and he can correctly identify that HwangSin is going for this upgrade. And if he gets in there and sees the Robo, that's going to be a really nice find for him.
Yeah, absolutely. If he sees the Robo and the Forge, he knows he can just instantly throw down the third base and out macro his opponent a little bit, because the timing will be very late. And he does see the robotics. I'm not sure if he saw the Forge. Let me check for a second. He only saw the robotics, but that is still a really good and valuable information for him.
Again, being very aggressive here in game number 2 with his infantry, moving out to the middle of the map, but he does have control of that northern watchtower, so he knows that Protoss isn't really active in the middle of the map. He can just get out there, check for any proxy pylons, check for any probes moving through there, not really committing to it too heavily. He's got this Marine which should be guarding the Zelnega. I'm sure he'll move over and take care of that. And yet again with these quick medevacs.
I'm really scared to watch Moonan actually. It's really scary to see what he does as a Terran, because he has so few units. It's 9 minutes in the game and he has 10 infantry units. And looking at the Protoss army, if HwangSin would actually have decided for any early attack, Moonan would just die. So I'm not sure if I'm too happy about that style. It's not aggressive. It doesn't... Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit like... it's not fish and it's not meat. It's a little bit in between, and I don't know what the advantages of what he's doing really is. It doesn't seem to be doing damage, but it's not safe either.
Yeah, he's now loading up, and I agree with you. It's a little bit strange because you've got a Protoss player who has shown, you know, he's getting a fairly quick upgrade. He's not in the middle of the map. You can see that with your watchtowers. He's just playing defensively, so there's not a lot of advantage being out there with medevacs dropping around. If your opponent is being, you know, overly aggressive or taking a quick third, that's when you want to be in there dropping around, but not getting a huge amount of payoff here with all these medevacs, and now joining with 2 more medevacs. Wow.
Wow, I mean, that is really nice because you can start dropping just everywhere on the map. However, HwangSin didn't decide to go for a Colossus build, but just gets out a lot of observers and that double forge, which I was talking about, and even Plink. So, what more could you wish for as a Protoss against drop play, really?
Yeah, it's going to be a nightmare for Moonan if he drops in and sees that Blink is already researched as it's being chrono boosted out, now complete, charge being followed up. Moonan drops these units to check the third base, sees that the destructible rocks are still there, so he can at least be a little bit comforted knowing that a third base is not up for Protoss. Now dropping in the natural and the main base, doing a double drop. Let's see what happens if he gets much value out of this. The drop is underway at the natural, taking out some probes, zealots and sentries there to take that out. Meanwhile, in the main base, stalkers blink over, going to be able to take that out fairly quickly. The medevacs are going to be able to load up and get out a little bit, but the drop in the main base completely cleaned up. The drop at the natural largely cleaned up, trying to take out some sentries. Does take out 1 sentry, and looks like that's going to be cleaned up. But under the the wing of this pressure, Moonan has expanded, and he's got complete control of his third base, and he's actually got an orbital command up there, so he didn't even need to make a planetary because he's been out with so much pressure on the map.
Absolutely, but even though both players are quite equal in supply, HwangSin only having 50, well, okay, now it's 15 more, but still they're quite close. It's very dangerous for Moonan. He does have a lot of SCVs, he doesn't have really high upgrade, and HwangSin is already making his 3rd armor upgrade. It's gonna make his Zealot extremely powerful, because if he's gonna activate Guardian Shield, his Zealots are gonna have essentially 5 armor, which is quite insane.
Yeah, that is insane. You can see Moonan is responding a little bit with double E-base, but he's a little bit slow to the jump. He's got +1 attack, now researching +2, and he's got +1 armor on the way, so he will be able to catch up in the late game. But as you said, there is going to be this mid-game timing where Protoss hits 3 armor, and it's just going to be ridiculous. Moonan is going to have to weather that storm, get up to EMP, get up to +2 and eventually +3 attack, and that's going to be the point when he's back in the game and very strong.
Oh wow, that is beautiful. HwangSin is actually going for an Archon timing attack. Makes me a little bit nostalgic of Food War. not even attempting to get Side Storm, just going for a really, really powerful Warp Gate army. I love it.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. He's out in the middle of the map. He's now got +1 attack on his units as well, with the Double Forge complete. All the Twilight Council upgrades complete. As you mentioned, nothing coming out of the Templar Archives. And what does Moonan have to deal with this? Just making more barracks, upgrades, and units. He's got 2 bunkers. And looks like he's a little bit aware of it. He's got bunker number 3 and 4 and 5 going up at his natural. He knows he needs to live this.
Absolutely. However, his third base is completely vulnerable to an attack. And HwangSin, very smart, sending in a single Zealot to check out what's going on. Not gonna go for that attack. However, he is retreating completely. A little bit of bad scouting by him now. And not even having a proxy pylon out there, as well as a little bit of a plunder as well. HwangSin definitely not playing perfect, but still in good shape.
Yeah, actually a huge blunder. And we can see Moonan dropping, trying to take out this third base, but with so many warp gates, HwangSin able to warp in, and a feedback going down on the medevac, completely taking that out. Moonan showing a little bit of nice kiting micro, but look at this. +3 armor now completed, and those Zealots are never going to die to Marauders. As you mentioned, not having a proxy pylon out, a big mistake for HwangSin, makes it extremely difficult to reinforce, but he does have... Look at his scouting. I mean, look how much teal there is in the center of the map. He's got 2 observers and the western Zelnaga Watchtower completely under control. And he has a Zealot in the bottom right, which is going to spot these 3 medevacs moving into the main base. And we can tell he's aware of it because he's moved this Zealot.
That is beautiful. It's always nice if you just send out a random unit. People don't do that often enough. Just start sending out units all over the map. It's always going to be benefiting you somehow. But seems like he doesn't. He saw the drop, but he didn't notice.
Yeah, I find that shocking because he actually moved that Zealot after reacting to the dropships, but looks like they're going to go into the main base and be able to unload.
Maybe he didn't think Moonan would be stupid enough to be dropping anyways, I don't know. But his main base is completely vulnerable, and there's an Autosis pylon as it looks like even.
Oh, he's trying to take out the Templar Archives. He does get it before Psionic Storm completes. Gets the Artosis pylon, and that's going to unpower the robotics and 3 of the warp gates. He's going to go for, looks like he's just targeting random things, moving forward, trying to get over to the probes. He's now decided to settle on the Nexus. And look at this, HwangSin has actually decided to come all the way home and try to deal with this, but he is going to give up his Nexus. He's given up a 30 supply advantage to Moonan, and Moonan must love his position. He's got some ghosts out now. He's up to 2-1. Let's see if he has 3-2 coming. He does have it. He's going to load up and say goodbye. Wow.
Incredible. Even going to be doing damage to the third base now. HwangSin being out of position again. He might even get the Nexus.
Oh my god, if he gets this Nexus, this is just going to be such a fantastic drop. Stimming, taking out the Templar as well. Starting to go to work on some sentries. Guardian Shield goes up, but that's not going to do anything against flying, retreating medevacs. This is just beautiful drop play by Moonan.
That is actually ridiculous. So much damage done by a single drop shouldn't be happening at all. Getting a little bit over eager now. I don't think he can do damage again. He should just retreat, but the truth is the damage has been more than out.
Right. And I mean, it doesn't even matter at this point. We can see Moonan has actually pulled HwangSin's army completely out of position, and he's got this army waiting to attack, but looks like he's going to save and wait for a better day, and instead expanding to both 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And with these 2 Zealots by HwangSin, he's well aware of it, but not doing anything. Now the Zealot at 6 o'clock going to go to work on that SCV and force a cancel, so that's nice by him to get, you know, to mitigate this damage just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. The 3+ upgrade for Moonan is going to be finished pretty soon as well, so the upgraded one doesn't really exist for the Protoss anymore. Opting for an attack now, he knows he has to do a lot of damage now. He has to basically kill Terran at this point.
And here we go, big attack moving in. Looks like we've got some EMPs going on. Zealots charging forward. They've got huge upgrades, and it looks like the Terran Bio Ball is just going to be enough to stand there, and he's completed, you know, to get back in the game with all the upgrades and completely rolls through, dropping the Manor Mules and calling GG, and we've got a tied-up game here in this TVP series.
I'm actually quite speechless about the entire game right now. There were a lot of things which didn't make complete sense to me, even though HwangSin was playing really smart and beautiful at the beginning. Right. Then he seemed to stop knowing what he's actually aiming to do and had no plan what to do anymore whatsoever.
Well, you know, I feel like what may have happened was he had this timing attack built up in his head. We saw him move out when he got that +2 armor. He had the Archons ready, as you correctly called. He did that Archon timing push. And I think when he got there and scouted with the Zealot and saw all the units out there and all the bunkers that Moonan had ready, he just decided, I don't want to risk it. And as you mentioned, you can only go to +3. So once you miss that timing, you only really have one more timing when you get to +3, and then after that, what do you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. What you're gonna do? Take more bases and actually get high-tech units. He was stuck on warp gates. Did have no follow-up plan, I think. And still, I think he could have taken out the third base by Moonan easily. He has so few units, and investing 5 bunkers only in the natural was a little bit of I don't know, a hoping move by by Moonan. Just like, okay, I pray he's not going to be attacking my third base, and I'm just going to have that insane defense at the natural to scare him away again.
Yeah, I think it was, as you mentioned, just crisis management there, and it worked for him. I don't think we saw a single Psionic Storm that game, did we?
No, I think the Templar Archive was killed shortly before it finished, yeah.
And that's another big issue for HwangSin, that he never got those big, beefy AoE units up like High Templar with Psionic Storm. I mean, he had them up with feedback, but it's not going to do too much. And he never got Colossi out. Obviously not part of his game plan, but he never got those big damage-dealing units. And yes, you can play a Warp Gate style with just charge lots and force fields for a while, but once Terran gets up to EMP and gets his upgrades rolling, it's just not going to work out.
No, it's not going to work. This period.
So it looks like we're completely tied up here. HwangSin has decided to take game number 3, the rubber match, over to the Xel'Naga Caverns, and that's going to settle this series. If you are ready with the replay, we're going to jump into it, TLO.
I'm ready. Oh, I'm actually too ready. I'm already
He's already
seconds
watching.
in it.
He's already commentating. All right, we need to get into this before TLO gets to the end. So with that being said, we're going to move into game number 3 right after this.